Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Marble Wellness webinar. I'm Danica, the Operations Director, and overall, Marble Wellness, we really aim to empower families through compassionate, research-based care. So that's why we offer webinars like this. Today's webinar is especially relevant for parents and caregivers, whether you're navigating tough emotions at home, managing challenging behaviors, or simply looking for tools to help your child or teen thrive. It is my pleasure to introduce Katie Sabel, our child and adolescent therapist, known for her creative, strengths-based approach and her particular expertise in DBT, Dialectical Behavior Therapy. She's also a play therapist and provides trauma-informed care, including EMDR. Katie has extensive experience working with children, teens, and families, helping them build resilience and find calm, even in those really, really hard moments. So, Katie, welcome. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank
Can you share, of course, and we're just going to start at the end of the slide. All right, there we go. Can you share a little bit about what led you to use DBT with children and teens? And then, of course, tell us all about what it is in everyday language and why it's so effective for young people struggling with emotions and behaviors.
Yeah, of course. So my first job after my undergrad degree was in a residential facility for youth. So that's kids that have been removed from the home, really need a higher level of care due to really high acuity mental health or behavioral struggles. And we use DBT there with the residents. And I just saw day to day how effective it can be and really how universally it can be used. And I was like, this is amazing. Let's keep going with it.
I love that. Wonderful. Okay. Well, let's jump right in and talk more about DBT and how it's most effective with kiddos.
Alrighty. So, well, first of all, I want to acknowledge there's just so many acronyms and things in mental health. So, DBT is another therapy. You've probably heard of CBT or EMDR and all these letters. So, what do they actually mean? It stands for Dialectical Behavioral Therapy. And it was designed to help manage really intense emotions and be able to improve relationships. So, especially in kids or adults who have a lot of trauma and really struggle to regulate or maintain healthy relationships, that's kind of how it was born. And the long word dialectical, which no one has really ever heard of, is this idea of dialectics, which is that two things that seem opposite can be true at the same time. So some examples of that are, I love you and I don't want to be around you right now, right? Those
That's
things are
real.
both true. Yeah, right? Or I did the best I could, like I'm still awesome and working really hard, and I failed the test and I needed to do better to get the grade I needed. And this idea is so helpful, especially in youth, right? Because it's so easy for kids to get kind of tunnel vision, right? Like only one thing can be true. So being able to really hold both things and model that for them is kind of the foundation of DBT, which I love. So you can see this little picture here. It's got the but crossed out and replaced with and. So really that
I
idea
love
of
that.
it doesn't have to be, yeah, right? It doesn't have to be I love you, but like it's I love you and I need this,
Yeah,
right? Like I'm angry and we're still okay. So that
exactly.
language is really helpful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the both and. That's another concept that folks may have heard of. That's going to be my next tattoo. I love that.
Amazing. Yeah. So one of the foundational components too is making a life worth living. We could just pop back to that first
Oh,
one.
sorry. There we go. Sorry about that.
No, I'm kind of jumping around on it. So making a life worth living, which is really cool because I think a lot of therapies are aimed at kind of reducing behaviors and symptoms, which DBT is too, but the motivation for it is like your life worth living. So for your child, that might be like, I don't get in trouble, right? I'm actually having fun. I'm making friends, whatever that is the motivation, which is really cool. And really gets their personal buy-in. So that's kind of like what we're always keeping in mind with all of these skills. It is common in DBT to be attending a skills group in conjunction with individual therapy. It's not required, but that just might be something that you've seen is like, oh, there's a DBT group. It's pretty common to kind of supplement with that. DBT itself is divided into these 4 main pillars, they call them, and we're going to go over those in a second. But those pillars are mindfulness, emotion regulation, distress tolerance, and interpersonal effectiveness. And so we kind of have these 4 big tree trunks, and then there's a ton of skills and everything within all of them. So we're going to learn a few of those today. But the reason that this is so appealing, I think, for youth and families, and what really got me excited about it, is that the skills are pretty straightforward and can be really easily taught and practiced. So again, it was really helpful with these kids with super high acuity behaviors and things. They're still able to grasp it. If you have like young kids, they're really able to grasp it. So obviously that's really appealing. It can also apply really easily to the whole family and household dynamic. So a lot of times, right, I think therapy can be unintentionally isolating, right? Like it's kind of your thing. Okay, he's got to work on his stuff. And DBT skills really give a common language, right? Like you can say, oh, mommy needs to go use this skill. And that can be so helpful. And they can also be, and they can also be used immediately. Like as soon as you can take some of these skills that I'm going to teach you today and go use them right now and then forever. So I think some of those things are what's really appealing, especially for using this with kids.
Awesome. So yeah, hopefully people are ready, to take notes and get started right now. I feel like that's kind of a difference from potentially some of the other types of therapy available. It might take a little bit longer to, build a skill or, understand a concept, but being able to get some help and, more positive outcomes right away is often what we're looking for, especially for our kiddos, right? Yeah. All right. Should I move on now? Perfect.
Yeah.
So make this a little bit bigger.
This is just an example. You don't need to try to read any of it. I really intentionally picked kind of an overwhelming lots of words image to just demonstrate that DBT is just this huge world of skills and components. So you might be able to see just the 4 boxes here. Those are going to be the 4 pillars that I was talking about, and just all of these little bullets and skills that are in all of them. So there are so many options. If one thing doesn't work for you, I guarantee there's something in here that's going to.
Awesome. Perfect.
Alrighty, so just moving into our first pillar, which is mindfulness. And I think mindfulness is a really popular word right now. So I just want to define it, because I think we kind of hear it all the time, right? On social media, your kids might say they worked on it at school, but like, what actually is it? So mindfulness itself is the practice of paying attention to the present moment on purpose, non-judgmentally. So just being present, noticing what's here, and we're not thinking it's right or wrong or good or bad. And that's it.
Yeah. How do you explain that concept or introduce that concept to kids and teens? I know I've worked with parents and, pregnant women and, different folks on mindfulness, and it's hard enough to explain to an adult. Does it come easily to children and teens, or does it, are you met with some resistance there?
Yeah, I think it is tricky to understand kind of in your mind. And I think it more clicks when we demonstrate the hands-on, like how do we actually be mindful? But like an easy way might be like, okay, do you notice, this coffee cup? Like, tell me about it, right? It's yellow, it's warm, kind of noticing those things and being like, oh, maybe it makes you feel happy because you like it. But we don't have to decide that that's a good thing or a bad thing or anything like that.
Nice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so mindfulness is really important because it's kind of the foundation for all of the other skills and all of the other
Mm-hmm.
pillars. So we really need to first have this self-awareness and the ability to notice things before you can kind of build on that. And even if you don't learn or practice any other skills, you're already going to see kind of a decreased emotional response with just using mindfulness, which is really cool.
Awesome.
So just starting out with mindfulness in DBT specifically, we talk about kind of the what and the how, which is sort of what you were talking about, Danica, and like, okay, how do you describe this?
Sure.
So like what you're doing is you're observing, right? We saw that the cup was yellow. You're describing it. Okay, it's warm. You're participating in it like it's hands-on. You're here in the present. And how are you doing that? You're doing that without judgment and accurately and effectively. Which brings us to our first skill. So this is a mindfulness skill called thought diffusion. If you think of like an essential oil diffuser, like you're just kind of spreading it out, diffusing it. So with thought diffusion, what we're doing is trying to put distance between a thought and ourselves so that it can't take over or really consume us, right? When especially kids have these really big thoughts and feelings, like sometimes it just kind of takes control. So thought diffusion is aiming to put some distance between our body, our mind, and that thought. And we're not trying to fight it. We're not trying to change it. You're just observing it and then also recognizing that it's temporary. So it's here now, but it's not going to be here forever, which is really comforting in and of itself.
Definitely.
A simple way to put this distance in your head, maybe like for you as an adult, just I'm having the thought that I'm a failure.
Mm-hmm.
So identifying instead of, right, I am a failure, let's put some distance there. I'm having the thought that I'm a failure. And one of my other favorite ways to do this, especially with kids, is envisioning that your thoughts or emotions are leaves floating down a river. So you can see this image here. We're putting these different thoughts on leaves, right? So, okay, I'm noticing sadness. I'm thinking that I'm a failure. I'm super angry. This girl really made me mad at school. I want to punch her. I'm noticing that, but it's not going to take me over. I'm just putting them on these leaves here. And the great thing about that is that they're just going to keep floating by on the river and eventually out of sight.
Yeah.
So some
that
days
could
you
definitely help. Yeah, with those like big feelings that kids often have and feel overwhelmed by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially with younger kids, you can do this tangibly. So you could literally like cut out some leaves or pieces of paper and then write it down. In your house, you could have a spot where you put them, right? Like, okay, do we need to go put some leaves on the chair? Like, and
Cool.
Again, having that really universal application, like this is something you can really easily model for kids too, right? Like, oh, like mommy's feeling angry, like I need to go put my angry leaf on the chair, right? And kind of demonstrate that. So there's our first skill.
Wonderful. I love that. And thank you for providing that example of how people can do this at home. Of course, I got real crafty and thought, okay, we've got to laminate leaves and then put them in like a a bathtub or something like that, which I mean, that could be fun as well. A little extra work there though. So I like your example. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So the second pillar.
Yes. So heading into our second pillar is distress tolerance. And this pillar is all about helping us survive uncomfortable emotions and moments, but not necessarily like fixing them or changing them.
Oh,
So,
that's hard.
yes, right. So think, right, like waiting in the doctor's office or going to the dentist, especially for kids. Like you can't make that not happen. Like we have to go to the doctor. So we're not fixing it, but this is going to help us like get through and have it not be super traumatic and emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the easiest ways to do this is grounding. So, grounding forces the brain to focus on the present moment, kind of going back to that mindfulness,
Yep.
and help pull you out of this elevated state by kind of literally grounding you back to reality. And one of my favorite ways to do this, especially with kids, is something called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding. And it incorporates all the senses and can become really natural. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to name 5 things that you can see. And I always challenge people to be really specific so you don't get to just be like, that thing. Like, right? I want you to say, okay, I see the blue car painting on the wall. So being really specific with that and then
Okay.
working through the senses. So for things that you can feel, I can feel my feet touching the floor right now. Kids can take action on this. So like, oh, like I'm feeling my hair and really
Mm-hmm.
bringing that sensory experience to lower that anxiety. And then
Awesome.
3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste.
Okay.
Don't worry too much about the numbers. If you don't remember the numbers, it doesn't matter. Just you can work through the 5 senses, like, or even just
Mm-hmm.
use one of them. Just tell me everything you can see. Tell me everything you can feel. That's still going to be
Yeah.
effective. And this is one thing that's super fun to do, like going on a walk or
Mm-hmm.
playing at the park, right? Those ways are really easy to teach this and practice this with your kids when they're regulated so that
Yeah.
it's going to come more naturally when you are in the doctor's office or really scared to do your spring concert or whatever it is. It's going to be a lot easier for them to do that on their own.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that idea of, practicing it, introducing it when things are fine, things are, normal, like you said, regulated. And, that way it's easier to access when things are a little more heightened.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this one specifically too is really great with teens because no one needs to know you're doing it, right?
Hmm.
So it's not like, oh my gosh, everyone in the cafeteria is looking at me because I'm doing like something really obviously physical. Like
Hmm.
you can
Tapping.
just be
Yeah,
sitting there looking around and noticing things, and no one needs to know.
that's wonderful. When is it time to use this type of like distress tolerance skill versus maybe some other coping strategies? So you've explained a few examples: the doctor's office, the dentist office, the cafeteria at lunch, those kinds of things. Um, but yeah, when else might this be really useful versus something else?
Hmm. I think this is specifically when you're in situations that you can't necessarily get out of,
Uh huh.
right? So things that have to happen, like I said, right? You have to do your doctor's appointment,
They're
and that
unavoidable.
you and you yes, unavoidable, and that you need to get through right now, as opposed to maybe like processing or challenging that anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
If
Okay.
that makes
Okay.
sense. So, like,
Yeah.
we'll talk about in a second another pillar that is gonna kind of challenge, okay, like, let me combat these anxious thoughts, but I would say this is more like the physical anxiety. I need to get through this moment. And then what can we do once we're calmed down?
Absolutely. Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. So the next one is emotion regulation, which Danica is, I think, kind of that other skills that you were just
Mhm.
talking about. And they're very similar, to be honest. But
Yeah.
so emotion regulation is going to be skills to understand, accept, and manage your emotions rather than letting them control your actions. So there's a little bit more of a pause there, right? Instead of like,
Yeah.
okay,
What
I
does
got
that
mad
look
that,
like?
like, so instead of like, I got mad that he took my toy and now I'm going to punch him,
Mhm.
being able to regulate that emotion so it's not controlling your actions kind of against your will, right? Because no one likes to
Mhm.
lose control in that way.
Right. But it's so easy to do. So I love that this helps folks understand that. Yep.
Hmm. Yeah. So talking through one of the emotion regulation skills is called
Mhm.
check the facts.
Okay.
And this is one of my favorites. This is kind of that challenging that we were talking about. So
Mhm.
assessing if your emotional reaction is aligning with reality.
Okay.
So what that might look like is, right. So those of you that have teenagers, oh my gosh, she gave me a dirty look at school. Obviously, she hates me, right? Like we're not
Mm.
friends now forever. That's a
Yes. And
situation.
those big jumps can happen so quickly. Yes.
Yeah. Or like, oh, dad didn't get me ice cream today. That must mean he hates me.
Mhm.
These are situations where we need to check the facts. So, okay, let's see if that is aligning with reality. Did this girl say that she was mad at you? Did
Mhm.
she give you any other indications other than this look that you saw? Um, you know, did dad say that he was angry at you, or is that just the general expectation? What are other reasons that maybe we're not getting ice cream or that girl gave that dirty look? And kind of brainstorming those, like, oh, we already had brownies, so now we can't have ice cream. Or
Yeah.
maybe that girl was just zoning out and happened to be in your direction. And so, really
Mhm.
challenging your child or yourself to come up with these other reasons and really think about what reality is. And this is something that is so helpful in the family setting, right? Like,
Mhm.
I can go up to my husband and be like, hey, I need to check the facts. Like, I think you're ignoring that I asked you to do the dishes. And then that gives him the opportunity, right, to be like, oh my gosh, no, sorry, I didn't hear you. Like, I'll go do them.
Yeah.
And this can both work both ways with like you as parents and then also your kids,
Mhm.
right? So you can, hey, like I just need to check the facts. I asked you to clean your room and I think you're trying to be naughty right now. And then your child can say like, oh no, I just really don't want to, or like this thing is holding me
Mhm.
back. And it really allows the opportunity to open those conversations.
Mhm. Without it
And
being like blamey, kind of.
mhm,
Yeah.
yes. And then they're able to do it back to you, right? Which
Mhm.
gives them a lot of power and also can help you see how you're like coming across to your kid too, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
hey, mom, like I need to check the facts. I think you're super mad at me that I made this mistake. And then you can
Mhm.
kind of check yourself of like, oh no, sorry. I'm just really stressed out because I was running late this morning. Like, I love you, you know?
Mhm.
So it really just gives that opportunity to open those conversations. And if we're checking the facts and it is true, like, yeah, I
Yeah.
am mad at you, that is
Mhm.
also opening that conversation in a way that's not an attack.
Yes. That's fascinating. Huh. And I feel like it would also help with kind of identifying those feelings and, understanding or I wanna say dissecting, maybe that's not the right word, but, like, figuring out all of those emotions, because especially with kids, all of the emotions can seem just really big or bad. And instead, they can, we can kind of, like you said, validate or seek to understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, oh, it seems like maybe we need to check the facts on that. You're making a lot of
Hmm.
assumptions there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's interesting. So, for folks who are like kind of writing things down, getting used to saying, okay, let me check the facts. I'd like to check the facts. I need to check the facts on this. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yes, of course. And then our last pillar is interpersonal effectiveness. And these are going to be skills to navigate healthy relationships. And some of those, like including negotiation, boundaries, being able to set them and keep them and honor them in others. And then also
Hmm.
how to validate yourself and others. And I'm not going to teach a specific skill in this pillar today because all of the skills are very like multi-step. But
Sure.
if this is something that you're interested in more specifically, we can definitely work on that in therapy.
Awesome. Okay, great. So, how can, parents really build the buy-in with resilient or skeptical kids and teens around all of these?
Hmm. Yeah, I think going back to that life worth living, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, like you want to not get in trouble as much with me, right? Like these are ways that we're going to do that. You want to feel better about yourself at school or with your friends or feel like I'm not yelling at you all the time as a parent, right? Like
Hmm.
that's usually pretty motivating for kids.
Right. Yeah. You tell me that I'm harping on you. Can you tell I have a middle schooler? You get annoyed that I'm bringing up that something hasn't been turned in, or I'm getting these notifications
Hmm.
from the school. How can we, get through this? How can we avoid me, harping on you, or however you're hearing it? Let's make it make sense. That's what I've always said. So,
Yes. And honestly, sometimes you're not going to get that buy-in. They're going to be like, okay, especially, right? Like I'm thinking of your middle schooler, like, okay, you're just saying that to get me to do this thing.
oh yeah.
Oh, well, in that case, you still teach it and you still model it. And if they see and hear it
Hmm.
enough, it's going to sink in, right? Like it's going to become natural, whether they're super excited
Yeah,
about it or not. So that's kind of the beauty of
absolutely.
it too.
Lovely. Yeah, even just the exposure to it over and over again
Mhm.
becomes kind of, second nature. Awesome. Thank you. All
Mhm.
right. So talk to me about the
So
DBT house. Yeah.
yes. So this is, if you've been hearing this and you're like, okay, but what would this look like in individual therapy? These are some of the things that I might do. The DBT house is a super cool kind of comprehensive plan. I'm not sure if you can see it because the words are a little small on here, I know. But for example, like the roof is things that protect you. The sign out front is things that you're proud of that you want to show off, right? Like a sign in front of a
Oh.
house or like Christmas decorations. Think of that. The chimney is ways that you healthily blow off steam.
Mm.
And we have all of these different levels. So, like, your life worth living is going to be on the top of your house. So, that's always our focus, what we're aiming for. And then the different levels are going to be skills that you can use in different situations, behaviors you're trying to change. Like, oh, I really want to stop like hitting my brother or my friends when I'm mad. Um, And so then in therapy, that's going to be building this plan and then processing the different parts, right? A lot of our kiddos maybe
Mhm.
got some trauma in one of these areas, or like, I don't know, I can't think of any safe people or anything that I'm proud of. So working on those different things and focusing on the aspects that need support or strengthening.
Okay.
And of course, always remembering again that life worth living.
Mhm.
So a lot of therapy too is going to look like learning a new skill, practicing it together in session, and then kind of the homework, if you will, of okay, now you need to use it in between sessions, and then we're going to come back and tell me how that went. Like, did it work? Did it
Mhm.
not? Are there times that you could have used it or wished you used it? And processing through that. Um, for children or like especially younger ones, we're going to be incorporating a lot of play and doing this through games or characters or art to
Mhm.
really practice those skills and also build that self-confidence, right? Because when we're focusing on all of this, I need to stop doing this behavior, we also really want to supplement like boosting that self-esteem
Yeah.
and feeling good about these things. Like, yes, awesome. Even if you're not using the skill, like, oh my gosh, you could tell me what the skill was. And like,
Mhm.
if we're playing with dolls or characters, like, oh, what do you think your favorite movie character, what skill do you think he uses, right? Or
Yeah.
things like
Maybe
that.
even like if you notice something, if you're watching something on TV and you can, say, "Oh yeah, it looks like they were using that skill," or something like that maybe.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. I also love being like, oh, like, if this doll or if I was feeling sad or anxious about this, what skill do you think we should use? Okay, let's practice that together.
mhm.
Kids love teaching, so maybe like you're going to teach your doll 5 4 3 2 1 grounding, and
Oh, that'd be
then
great.
they're naturally doing it themselves. And if you remember back to the beginning, that just like big picture with all of those words that you couldn't even read because there were so many of them, we have a ton of other options based on what your goals
Cool.
are, what your situation is. This is just kind of a little glimpse if you're curious of what that might look like.
Yeah. That is so neat. So, I think you may have already said this before, but just kind of to reiterate, can DBT help kids with anxiety, ADHD, trauma, or like other behavioral concerns?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes, all of it. And really, each of the pillars can help with
Mhm.
different things. So, right, if you're having more like anger behavior escalations, we're going to work on a lot of emotion regulation skills to kind of slow down that impulse. If you're having a lot of anxiety or trauma, we're going to be focusing more first on distress tolerance, right? Being able to get through those uncomfortable moments before we can process.
Mhm.
But yes, it definitely can be applied to pretty much any kind of struggle that you're identifying.
Awesome. Okay. So I love that you introduced us to some of these skills and provided examples of how we can do this at home or like model behavior. But when does the family know it's time to reach out for professional therapy versus like trying these skills at home?
Mhm. Yeah, I think when you're noticing that it's not as effective, or maybe your relationship with your kids is not as positive as you'd like it to be, or I mean, let's be real,
Sure.
again, going back to that middle schooler, like, okay, mom, like I'm not listening to anything my parents say, like they're not cool. Um, Right? Sometimes you just need kind of that outside perspective or like,
Hmm.
okay, you're not going to listen to me, but I know you'll listen to this person or like not talk back to them, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah. Like they're the
yeah,
expert. Fine. I don't know anything.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
That's helpful. So, for parents who are considering this, can you kind of describe what a typical DBT focused therapy session looks like for a child or teen? What can parents expect as a part of this process?
Mhm. Yeah, so we would do a typical like therapy intake, so getting a lot of historical information and stuff so I can really get to know you and your child. And then doing those things depending on their age and situation from the last slide. So maybe you were kind of making this DBT house together and
Yeah.
exploring and processing all of these components. processing different things that are happening in life and how these skills can apply, teaching them different skills and exploring ways that they can use them. I do think there's a fear or like, okay, all these skills are great, but like I do have trauma, right, that I need to process. Or like, are we going to be able to address that? Or is it just going to be like a lecture the whole time? And there absolutely is room for doing like traditional trauma processing or
Cool.
working through real life things that are going on. Like it's not necessarily going to be like school.
Mhm. It's a
Yes.
both and, huh?
There we go. It's dialectic.
Nice. Perfect. So if a parent or caregiver wants to support their child who is going through therapy using, DBT focus, what's the best way to be involved in or, support outside of sessions? Again, kind of the both and there.
Mm-hmm. Definitely reinforcing the skills. So if you're working with me, I'm going to be telling you, hey, today we learned this skill. Here's
Awesome.
how it works. Like kind of also teaching you that skill.
Cool.
And so, okay, now I want you as the parent to watch for this, encourage appropriate times to use it, maybe model using it yourself. And
Mhm.
that's going to be so helpful in getting that kind of ingrained.
Awesome. Thank you. Um, so, thank you so much, Katie, for all of those insights and you really making these essential tools accessible for families. Do you have, anything kind of like that final thoughts, anything that you really want folks to know about DBT, therapy for kids, teens, anything before we kind of wrap up?
Just that it's so worth it. It's so worth it to take that step and make that investment in whether it be
Mhm.
DBT or therapy in general. And it really can be life changing. I've seen it, I've felt it. So just that it's worth it. It helps your life worth living.
I love that. And both for the kiddo individually, but it sounds like for the whole family too. Like that's what I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
expecting to hear today. Like, wow, this can really be transformative for the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, of course, folks who are watching, if you'd like to support your child, you're interested in DBT therapy, or just want to talk to someone about those next steps, Marble Wellness is here. So Katie and our team, we've got a robust team of child and teen therapists who offer individual sessions, parent coaching, and family therapy, both in person in the St. Louis area and online in Missouri. So you can see on the bottom, reach out to Marble Wellness to get started and set up a call with our admin team. And just thank you all so much for your commitment to your child's growth and for trusting Marble Wellness along that journey. Thank you again, Katie. I so appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much.